Question 1. What is the primary purpose of law enforcement in the state of Virginia? A. To enforce traffic laws and issue citations. B. To maintain public safety and uphold the law. C. To generate revenue through fines and penalties. D. To provide security services to private businesses. Correct answer. B. To maintain public safety and uphold the law. Explanation. Law enforcement in Virginia, as in any state, serves primarily to maintain public safety and uphold the law. This includes various duties such as preventing and investigating crimes, enforcing traffic laws, ensuring public order, and providing assistance during emergencies. The fundamental role of law enforcement officers is to protect the rights and safety of individuals within their jurisdiction, as outlined by the Constitution and relevant statutes. While issuing citations and enforcing traffic laws are part of their duties, these activities serve the broader goal of promoting public safety rather than solely generating revenue. Upholding the law and ensuring public safety are core principles of law enforcement ethics and professionalism, essential for maintaining trust and legitimacy within the community. Question 2. In Virginia, what are the essential elements of a crime that must be proven for a conviction? A. Intent, motive, and opportunity. B. Actus reus, mens rea, and concurrence. C. Means, motive, and opportunity. D. Precedent, intent, and actus reus. Correct answer. B. Actus reus, mens rea, and concurrence. Explanation. In Virginia, as in most jurisdictions, the essential elements of a crime that must be proven for a conviction are actus reus, mens rea, and concurrence. Actus reus refers to the physical act or conduct that constitutes the crime. Mens rea pertains to the mental state or intent of the perpetrator, and concurrence requires that the wrongful mental state accompanies the wrongful act. These elements collectively establish criminal liability and ensure that individuals are not convicted for innocent or accidental conduct. Understanding these elements is crucial for law enforcement officers when investigating crimes and for prosecutors when presenting cases in court. It ensures that justice is served by holding individuals accountable for their intentional criminal actions while protecting those who may have acted without wrongful intent. Question 3. During a routine patrol in Virginia, an officer observes a vehicle committing multiple traffic violations. What steps should the officer take according to proper procedure? A. Ignore the violations if the vehicle does not appear suspicious. B. Immediately pursue and stop the vehicle to issue citations. C. Note the violations and inform dispatch for further action. D. Follow the vehicle discreetly and wait for additional violations. Correct answer. C. Note the violations and inform dispatch for further action. Explanation. When conducting a routine patrol in Virginia and observing a vehicle committing multiple traffic violations, the proper procedure for the officer is to note the violations and inform dispatch for further action. This ensures that the information is documented and appropriate action can be taken, which may include issuing citations, conducting a traffic stop, or providing additional support if the situation escalates. Engaging in a pursuit without sufficient cause or following a vehicle discreetly without taking immediate action can pose risks to public safety and may not align with departmental policies and legal requirements. By informing dispatch, the officer can coordinate with other units if necessary and maintain communication to ensure a timely and effective response to the observed violations, contributing to the overall goal of promoting traffic safety and law enforcement effectiveness in the community. Question 4. In Virginia, what is the significance of the Code of Ethics for law enforcement officers? A. It outlines guidelines for issuing citations and fines. B. It provides standards of conduct and integrity for officers. C. It specifies procedures for handling emergency calls. D. It regulates the use of force during arrests. Correct answer. B. It provides standards of conduct and integrity for officers. Explanation. The Code of Ethics for law enforcement officers in Virginia serves as a set of guidelines and standards of conduct that promote integrity, professionalism, and ethical behavior among officers. It outlines principles such as honesty, fairness, respect for individual rights, and impartiality in carrying out duties. Adhering to this code helps maintain public trust and confidence in law enforcement agencies by ensuring that officers act with integrity and uphold the highest ethical standards while performing their duties. While regulations and policies may dictate specific procedures for various aspects of law enforcement, the Code of Ethics sets a broader framework for ethical behavior and professional conduct that all officers are expected to follow. Question 5. Which of the following falls under the jurisdiction of state laws and local ordinances in Virginia? A. Federal tax regulations. B. Zoning regulations. C. International trade agreements. D. Immigration laws. Correct answer. B. Zoning regulations. Explanation. Zoning regulations, which govern land use and development within specific geographic areas, fall under the jurisdiction of state laws and local ordinances in Virginia. These regulations are enacted by local governments, such as counties or municipalities, to manage and regulate the use of land for residential, commercial, industrial, or other purposes. Zoning laws address issues such as building heights, setbacks, land use compatibility, and the establishment of zoning districts. Unlike federal tax regulations, international trade agreements, and immigration laws, which are governed by federal laws and treaties, zoning regulations are implemented at the local level and are subject to state laws and regulations. Question 6. In Virginia, what is the purpose of Miranda warnings during custodial interrogations? A. To inform suspects of their right to an attorney. B. To provide suspects with a chance to confess. C. To intimidate suspects into cooperation. D. To educate suspects about their legal rights. Correct answer. A. To inform suspects of their right to an attorney. Explanation. Miranda warnings, which are required during custodial interrogations in Virginia and throughout the United States, serve the purpose of informing suspects of their constitutional rights, including the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney. The warnings ensure that suspects understand their legal rights before any questioning occurs, helping to safeguard against self-incrimination and ensuring due process under the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. Providing suspects with the opportunity to consult with an attorney helps protect their legal interests and ensures that any statements made during interrogation are voluntary and not coerced. Failure to provide Miranda warnings when required may result in the exclusion of incriminating statements from evidence in court. Question 7. What should law enforcement officers prioritize when responding to emergency calls in Virginia? A. Issuing citations for traffic violations. B. Administering first aid to injured parties. C. Conducting thorough investigations. D. Providing security to nearby businesses. Correct answer. B. Administering first aid to injured parties. Explanation. When responding to emergency calls in Virginia, law enforcement officers should prioritize administering first aid to injured parties. Ensuring the safety and well-being of individuals involved in emergencies is a primary responsibility of law enforcement, and providing immediate medical assistance can help stabilize injured individuals and potentially save lives. While issuing citations for traffic violations and conducting investigations may be necessary in certain situations, they are secondary priorities compared to addressing immediate health and safety concerns. By promptly assessing and addressing medical needs at the scene of an emergency, law enforcement officers can fulfill their duty to protect and serve the community effectively. Question 8. In Virginia, why is understanding human behavior and psychology important for law enforcement officers? A. To manipulate suspects during interrogations. B. To profile individuals based on stereotypes. C. To de-escalate tense situations and communicate effectively. D. To justify excessive use of force. Correct answer. C. To de-escalate tense situations and communicate effectively. Explanation. Understanding human behavior and psychology is essential for law enforcement officers in Virginia to de-escalate tense situations and communicate effectively with individuals they encounter. By recognizing signs of distress, anxiety, or aggression, officers can respond appropriately and use communication techniques to diffuse potentially volatile situations without resorting to force. Effective communication skills, combined with an understanding of human behavior, enable officers to establish rapport, gain cooperation, and resolve conflicts peacefully. This approach aligns with principles of community policing and promotes positive interactions between law enforcement and the community, contributing to public trust and cooperation in crime prevention and public safety efforts. Question 9. What steps should law enforcement officers follow when conducting a vehicle stop in Virginia? A. Activate emergency lights and sirens immediately. B. Approach the vehicle from the passenger side. C. Request a driver's license and registration. D. Search the vehicle without consent. Correct answer. C. Request the driver's license and registration. Explanation. When conducting a vehicle stop in Virginia, law enforcement officers should follow specific procedures to ensure safety and compliance with the law. This includes activating emergency lights and sirens to signal the vehicle to stop safely, positioning the patrol vehicle in a visible and secure location, and approaching the stopped vehicle from the driver's side. Upon contact with the driver, officers should request the driver's license, vehicle registration, and proof of insurance while maintaining a professional and courteous demeanor. Searching the vehicle without consent is generally not permissible during a routine traffic stop unless there is probable cause or consent obtained from the driver. Adhering to established procedures helps ensure the safety of both officers and drivers and promotes consistency and accountability in law enforcement practices. Question 10. How can law enforcement officers apply critical thinking skills when analyzing situations in Virginia? A. By making hasty decisions based on intuition. B. By considering only the most obvious solutions. C. By consulting with colleagues for every decision. D. By analyzing multiple factors and potential outcomes. Correct answer. D. By analyzing multiple factors and potential outcomes. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia must apply critical thinking skills when analyzing situations to make informed and effective decisions. This involves considering various factors such as the nature of the incident, available resources, potential risks, and the impact of different courses of action on public safety and legal compliance. Rather than relying solely on intuition or selecting the most obvious solution, officers should engage in a systematic evaluation of the situation, weighing the pros and cons of different approaches and anticipating potential outcomes. Collaborating with colleagues and seeking input from subject matter experts can enhance decision-making processes, but officers should ultimately exercise independent judgment based on their training, experience, and analysis of the situation at hand. Question 11. What are the principles of community policing and how do they apply in Virginia? A. Isolating communities from law enforcement involvement. B. Building trust and collaboration between police and communities. C. Implementing strict enforcement measures without community input. D. Fostering fear and intimidation among community members. Correct answer. B. Building trust and collaboration between police and communities. Explanation. Community policing principles emphasize building trust, collaboration, and partnerships between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. In Virginia, community policing initiatives aim to strengthen relationships, increase transparency, and promote problem-solving partnerships between police officers and community members. By engaging with residents, business owners, and community organizations, law enforcement agencies can gain valuable insights into local concerns, priorities, and resources. This collaborative approach fosters mutual respect, enhances communication, and empowers communities to actively participate in crime prevention efforts. By working together, law enforcement and community members can address underlying issues, improve public safety, and build safer and more resilient neighborhoods. Question 12. What distinguishes felonies from misdemeanors in Virginia's criminal law? A. The severity of the punishment imposed. B. The presence of criminal intent. C. The involvement of a jury trial. D. The location where the crime occurred. Correct answer. A. The severity of the punishment imposed. Explanation. In Virginia's criminal law, felonies and misdemeanors are distinguished primarily by the severity of the punishment imposed upon conviction. Felonies are more serious offenses and typically carry harsher penalties, including imprisonment for more than 1 year and sometimes even death for capital offenses. Misdemeanors, on the other hand, are less serious offenses and are punishable by imprisonment for up to 1 year, fines, or other penalties. While the presence of criminal intent, mens rea, is relevant in determining guilt for both felonies and misdemeanors, it does not inherently distinguish between the two categories of crimes. Additionally, the involvement of a jury trial may vary depending on the circumstances of the case, but it is not a defining characteristic of felonies or misdemeanors. The location where the crime occurred does not determine its classification as a felony or misdemeanor, but may influence jurisdiction and venue. Question 13. Why is understanding cultural diversity important for law enforcement officers in Virginia? A. To enforce laws selectively based on ethnicity. B. To promote discrimination and bias in policing. C. To ensure fair and impartial treatment of all individuals. D. To exclude certain communities from law enforcement services. Correct answer. C. To ensure fair and impartial treatment of all individuals. Explanation. Understanding cultural diversity is crucial for law enforcement officers in Virginia to ensure fair and impartial treatment of all individuals regardless of their background or ethnicity. By recognizing and respecting cultural differences, officers can avoid stereotypes, biases, and discriminatory practices that undermine trust and legitimacy within diverse communities. Instead, they can tailor their approach to communication, conflict resolution, and problem solving to accommodate the cultural norms and preferences of the individuals they encounter. Embracing cultural diversity fosters positive police-community relations, enhances cooperation, and promotes a sense of inclusivity and belonging among all residents. It also aligns with principles of constitutional equality and due process, which require equal treatment under the law regardless of race, ethnicity, or other protected characteristics. Question 14. What role does confidentiality play in the work of law enforcement officers in Virginia? A. To share sensitive information with unauthorized individuals. B. To protect the privacy rights of individuals and maintain trust. C. To conceal evidence of misconduct within the department. D. To prevent transparency and accountability. Correct answer. B. To protect the privacy rights of individuals and maintain trust. Explanation. Confidentiality is essential in the work of law enforcement officers in Virginia to protect the privacy rights of individuals and maintain trust within the community. Officers often handle sensitive information, including personal data, criminal histories, and investigative details, which must be safeguarded from unauthorized disclosure. By respecting confidentiality, officers demonstrate professionalism, integrity, and respect for individual rights, which are foundational principles of law enforcement ethics. Breaches of confidentiality can undermine trust, compromise investigations, and damage relationships with community members. Therefore, officers must adhere to strict protocols and legal requirements regarding the handling, storage, and dissemination of confidential information to ensure its proper protection and use for lawful purposes only. Question 15. How can law enforcement officers develop effective solutions to complex problems in Virginia? A. By relying solely on personal judgment and experience. B. By considering input from diverse perspectives and stakeholders. C. By implementing authoritarian measures without community input. D. By prioritizing speed over thoroughness in decision-making. Correct answer. B. By considering input from diverse perspectives and stakeholders. Explanation. Law enforcement officers can develop effective solutions to complex problems in Virginia by considering input from diverse perspectives and stakeholders. Collaboration and partnership with community members, government agencies, nonprofit organizations, and other stakeholders can provide valuable insights, resources, and support in addressing multifaceted issues such as crime, public safety, and social challenges. By involving stakeholders in problem-solving processes, officers can gain a deeper understanding of community needs, priorities, and concerns, leading to more informed decision-making and sustainable solutions. While personal judgment and experience are valuable assets, they should be complemented by a willingness to listen, learn, and collaborate with others to achieve common goals and promote positive outcomes for the community. Question 16. In Virginia, what is the significance of understanding local ordinances for law enforcement officers? A. To prioritize enforcement of federal laws over local regulations. B. To avoid conflicts with state laws and regulations. C. To enforce zoning, noise, and parking regulations effectively. D. To bypass legal procedures during arrests. Correct answer. C. To enforce zoning, noise, and parking regulations effectively. Explanation. Understanding local ordinances is crucial for law enforcement officers in Virginia to effectively enforce zoning, noise, and parking regulations within their jurisdiction. While federal and state laws establish overarching legal frameworks, local ordinances provide specific rules and regulations tailored to address community needs and concerns. By familiarizing themselves with local ordinances, officers can ensure compliance with land use restrictions, noise limits, parking restrictions, and other regulations that contribute to quality of life and public safety in residential and commercial areas. Prioritizing enforcement of local ordinances helps address neighborhood issues, maintain order, and mitigate potential conflicts or disputes among residents. Additionally, enforcing local regulations demonstrates a commitment to community policing principles and responsiveness to local concerns, fostering positive police-community relations. Question 17. How can law enforcement officers in Virginia use data analysis to identify crime trends and patterns? A. By relying solely on anecdotal evidence and intuition. B. By consulting with community members for their observations. C. By analyzing crime statistics and incident reports systematically. D. By disregarding statistical analysis in favor of personal experiences. Correct answer. C. By analyzing crime statistics and incident reports systematically. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia can use data analysis to identify crime trends and patterns by systematically analyzing crime statistics and incident reports. This involves collecting and reviewing quantitative data such as crime rates, geographic distribution of incidents, time trends, and demographic characteristics of offenders and victims. By examining patterns and correlations in the data, officers can identify hotspots, recurring crime types, modus operandi, and other indicators that inform strategic decision-making and resource allocation. While anecdotal evidence and community input may provide valuable insights, data-driven analysis offers a more comprehensive and objective understanding of crime dynamics and enables officers to prioritize interventions, allocate resources efficiently, and evaluate the effectiveness of crime prevention strategies. Incorporating data analysis into policing practices promotes evidence-based decision-making and enhances the overall effectiveness of law enforcement efforts. Question 18. What legal authority do law enforcement officers in Virginia have when responding to emergency calls? A. Unlimited discretion to use force as deemed necessary. B. Authority to enter private property without consent. C. Power to detain individuals without probable cause. D. Authorization to take necessary action to protect life and property. Correct answer. D. Authorization to take necessary action to protect life and property. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia have the legal authority to take necessary action to protect life and property when responding to emergency calls. This authority is grounded in state laws, regulations, and departmental policies that empower officers to intervene in emergencies, prevent harm, and maintain public order. While officers must exercise discretion and judgment in applying their authority, they are guided by principles of proportionality, reasonableness, and adherence to constitutional rights and legal standards. This may include actions such as providing medical aid, securing the scene, evacuating individuals from danger, and using force when justified and necessary to address imminent threats. However, this authority is not unlimited, and officers are accountable for their actions, subject to legal scrutiny, and expected to uphold ethical and professional standards in emergency response situations. Question 19. What role do degrees of crime play in Virginia's criminal justice system? A. They determine the severity of punishment for convicted offenders. B. They dictate the types of evidence admissible in court. C. They establish procedural rules for criminal trials. D. They regulate law enforcement's use of force during arrests. Correct answer. A. They determine the severity of punishment for convicted offenders. Explanation. Degrees of crime in Virginia's criminal justice system determine the severity of punishment for convicted offenders. Crimes are classified into different degrees, such as felonies and misdemeanors, based on the seriousness of the offense and the potential harm inflicted on victims or society. Felonies typically carry harsher penalties, including imprisonment for more than 1 year, while misdemeanors are punishable by shorter jail sentences, fines, or other penalties. The classification of crimes into degrees guides sentencing decisions by judges and establishes the legal framework for imposing appropriate punishments that reflect the gravity of the offense and promote public safety and justice. Understanding degrees of crime is essential for law enforcement officers, prosecutors, judges, and other stakeholders involved in the criminal justice system to ensure consistency, fairness, and proportionality in sentencing outcomes. Question 20. How can law enforcement officers in Virginia evaluate the credibility of witnesses during investigations? A. By dismissing witness statements as unreliable. B. By relying solely on eyewitness testimony. C. By assessing consistency, demeanor, and corroboration. D. By favoring witnesses with personal connections to law enforcement. Correct answer. C. By assessing consistency, demeanor, and corroboration. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia can evaluate the credibility of witnesses during investigations by assessing various factors, including consistency, demeanor, and corroboration of their statements. Evaluating consistency involves comparing witness accounts with other evidence, checking for discrepancies or contradictions, and assessing the reliability of the information provided. Demeanor refers to the behavior, demeanor, and body language of witnesses during interviews or testimony, which may provide insights into their truthfulness and credibility. Corroboration involves seeking additional evidence or witnesses that support or corroborate key aspects of the witness's testimony, strengthening its reliability and credibility. While eyewitness testimony can be valuable, it is not infallible, and officers must critically evaluate its accuracy and reliability in the context of other evidence and investigative findings. By employing these critical thinking skills, officers can make more informed decisions, strengthen case investigations, and uphold the integrity of the criminal justice process. Question 21. How does familiarity with common law enforcement equipment benefit officers in Virginia? A. By increasing revenue through equipment fines. B. By enabling officers to intimidate suspects. C. By enhancing officer safety and effectiveness. D. By reducing the need for communication skills. Correct answer. C. By enhancing officer safety and effectiveness. Explanation. Familiarity with common law enforcement equipment benefits officers in Virginia by enhancing their safety and effectiveness in carrying out their duties. Equipment such as radios, firearms, body armor, and less lethal tools are essential for officers to respond to emergencies, protect themselves and others, and enforce the law. By knowing how to properly use and maintain this equipment, officers can mitigate risks, respond more efficiently to incidents, and make informed decisions in high-pressure situations. Additionally, specialized equipment such as radar guns, breathalyzers, and forensic tools aid in conducting investigations, gathering evidence, and ensuring compliance with traffic and criminal laws. While effective communication skills remain essential for law enforcement officers, familiarity with equipment enhances their capabilities and confidence in handling diverse challenges encountered in the field. Question 22. What role does discretion play in the daily work of law enforcement officers in Virginia? A. To enforce laws strictly without regard for individual circumstances. B. To prioritize certain communities over others. C. To make informed decisions based on situational factors. D. To discriminate against certain individuals. Correct answer. C. To make informed decisions based on situational factors. Explanation. Discretion plays a crucial role in the daily work of law enforcement officers in Virginia by empowering them to make informed decisions based on situational factors and professional judgment. Officers exercise discretion when determining how to respond to various incidents, whether to issue warnings or citations, and how to resolve conflicts or disputes in the community. This flexibility allows officers to tailor their responses to the specific circumstances they encounter, taking into account factors such as the severity of the offense, the individual's compliance history, public safety considerations, and community priorities. While discretion provides officers with autonomy and flexibility in carrying out their duties, it is guided by legal standards, departmental policies, and ethical principles to ensure fairness, consistency, and accountability in law enforcement practices. Question 23. How does community policing contribute to crime prevention efforts in Virginia? A. By isolating law enforcement from community members. B. By promoting trust, collaboration, and problem-solving partnerships. C. By implementing authoritarian measures without community input. D. By targeting specific demographic groups for surveillance. Correct answer. B. By promoting trust, collaboration, and problem-solving partnerships. Explanation. Community policing contributes to crime prevention efforts in Virginia by promoting trust, collaboration, and problem-solving partnerships between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. By engaging with residents, businesses, schools, and community organizations, law enforcement officers can identify and address underlying causes of crime, such as social disorganization, substance abuse, and economic deprivation. Building relationships and fostering communication with community members empower residents to actively participate in crime prevention strategies, report suspicious activities, and work together with law enforcement to address local concerns. Additionally, community policing approaches prioritize proactive measures such as crime prevention through environmental design, CPTID, neighborhood watch programs, and youth outreach initiatives, which aim to reduce crime and enhance public safety through collaborative efforts and shared responsibility. Question 24. What principles guide crisis negotiation techniques used by law enforcement officers in Virginia? A. Intimidation and coercion to force compliance. B. Active listening, empathy, and de-escalation. C. Impulsivity and aggression to assert control. D. Minimization of communication to avoid conflict. Correct answer. B. Active listening, empathy, and de-escalation. Explanation. Crisis negotiation techniques used by law enforcement officers in Virginia are guided by principles of active listening, empathy, and de-escalation. These techniques aim to establish rapport, build trust, and reduce tension during crisis situations involving individuals in emotional distress or crisis. Officers trained in crisis negotiation employ active listening skills to understand the concerns, motivations, and needs of the individual, demonstrating empathy and validating their feelings without judgment. By maintaining open communication channels and offering support, officers can de-escalate the situation, explore options for resolution, and facilitate a peaceful outcome. Intimidation, coercion, or aggressive tactics are counterproductive and can escalate conflict, endangering the safety of all parties involved. Effective crisis negotiation requires patience, communication skills, and a commitment to preserving life and resolving crises through peaceful means. Question 25. How do law enforcement officers in Virginia ensure compliance with motor vehicle regulations? A. By issuing warnings without consequences. B. By conducting random searches of vehicles. C. By enforcing traffic laws and issuing citations. D. By ignoring minor traffic violations. Correct answer. C. By enforcing traffic laws and issuing citations. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia ensure compliance with motor vehicle regulations by enforcing traffic laws and issuing citations for violations. This includes monitoring roadways, identifying traffic infractions such as speeding, reckless driving, and failure to obey traffic signals or signs, and taking appropriate enforcement actions to promote safety and deter future violations. By conducting traffic stops, officers have the opportunity to educate motorists about traffic laws, address unsafe driving behaviors, and enforce consequences for violations through warnings, citations, or other legal measures. Enforcing motor vehicle regulations helps reduce the risk of traffic accidents, injuries, and fatalities, contributing to public safety and the efficient flow of traffic on roadways. Additionally, consistent enforcement of traffic laws fosters compliance, promotes responsible driving behaviors, and enhances overall traffic management efforts in the community. Question 26. How can law enforcement officers in Virginia utilize data analysis to address crime trends in their jurisdiction? A. By disregarding statistical trends as irrelevant. B. By conducting community surveys instead of data analysis. C. By identifying patterns and allocating resources strategically. D. By relying solely on anecdotal evidence for decision-making. Correct answer. C. By identifying patterns and allocating resources strategically. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia can utilize data analysis to address crime trends in their jurisdiction by identifying patterns and allocating resources strategically. Through systematic analysis of crime statistics, incident reports, and other relevant data sources, officers can identify emerging trends, recurring crime patterns, and geographic hotspots of criminal activity. This information enables them to prioritize resource allocation, deploy personnel and assets effectively, and implement targeted interventions to address specific crime problems. By proactively addressing crime trends based on data-driven insights, officers can enhance the efficiency and effectiveness of law enforcement efforts, reduce crime rates, and improve public safety outcomes for the community. Data analysis serves as a valuable tool for informed decision-making, enabling officers to allocate resources where they are most needed and maximize the impact of crime prevention strategies. Question 27. How does the use of body-worn cameras benefit law enforcement officers in Virginia? A. By recording interactions with the public for accountability. B. By violating the privacy rights of individuals. C. By providing a platform for unauthorized surveillance. D. By enabling officers to manipulate evidence. Correct answer. A. By recording interactions with the public for accountability. Explanation. The use of body-worn cameras benefits law enforcement officers in Virginia by recording interactions with the public for accountability purposes. Body-worn cameras capture audio and video footage of officer interactions with citizens, suspects, and witnesses, providing an objective record of events and enhancing transparency and accountability in law enforcement practices. The footage captured by body-worn cameras can serve as valuable evidence in investigations, court proceedings, and complaints against officers, corroborating or disproving allegations of misconduct or inappropriate behavior. Additionally, body-worn cameras can help improve officer safety, de-escalate confrontations, and enhance public trust and confidence in law enforcement by promoting transparency and accountability in interactions with the community. While concerns about privacy rights and data security must be addressed through appropriate policies and procedures, the use of body-worn cameras has been widely recognized as a valuable tool for enhancing professionalism and accountability in policing. Question 28. How do Virginia's criminal laws classify different types of crimes? A. Based on the defendant's socioeconomic status. B. Based on the severity of the offense and potential punishment. C. Based on the defendant's race or ethnicity. D. Based on the political affiliation of the victim. Correct answer. B. Based on the severity of the offense and potential punishment. Explanation. Virginia's criminal laws classify different types of crimes based on the severity of the offense and potential punishment. Crimes are typically categorized into various degrees, such as felonies, misdemeanors, and infractions, depending on the seriousness of the offense and the harm inflicted on victims or society. Felonies are the most serious offenses and carry harsher penalties, including imprisonment for more than 1 year, while misdemeanors are less serious crimes punishable by shorter jail sentences, fines, or other penalties. Infractions are minor offenses that often result in fines or citations rather than incarceration. This classification system helps guide sentencing decisions, determine the procedural requirements for criminal trials, and establish the legal framework for enforcing and prosecuting offenses in the state. By classifying crimes based on severity, Virginia's criminal laws aim to ensure proportional and equitable justice while promoting public safety and the rule of law. Question 29. How can law enforcement officers in Virginia recognize signs of mental health issues during interactions with individuals? A. By assuming that all individuals with mental health issues are dangerous. B. By ignoring behavioral cues and body language. C. By undergoing specialized training and education. D. By using excessive force to control individuals. Correct answer. C. By undergoing specialized training and education. Explanation. Law enforcement officers in Virginia can recognize signs of mental health issues during interactions with individuals by undergoing specialized training and education in mental health awareness and crisis intervention techniques. Such training equips officers with the knowledge, skills, and strategies to identify common signs and symptoms of mental illness, understand how mental health conditions may affect behavior and communication, and respond appropriately to individuals in crisis. By recognizing behavioral cues, verbal expressions, and body language indicative of mental health issues, officers can de-escalate situations, offer support and assistance, and connect individuals with appropriate resources and services. This proactive approach promotes the safety and well-being of both individuals in crisis and law enforcement personnel, reduces the likelihood of unnecessary use of force or escalation, and fosters positive outcomes for all parties involved. Recognizing the importance of mental health training underscores Virginia's commitment to promoting compassionate and effective responses to mental health crises within the criminal justice system. Question 30. What steps should law enforcement officers in Virginia take when conducting foot patrols in residential neighborhoods? A. Remain isolated from residents to maintain authority. B. Engage in friendly interactions with community members. C. Ignore suspicious activities to avoid confrontation. D. Use aggressive tactics to assert dominance. Correct answer. B. Engage in friendly interactions with community members. Explanation. When conducting foot patrols in residential neighborhoods, law enforcement officers in Virginia should engage in friendly interactions with community members to foster positive relationships, build trust, and gather intelligence. Foot patrols offer officers the opportunity to interact with residents, business owners, and community stakeholders in a non-confrontational and approachable manner, promoting visibility, accessibility, and responsiveness in law enforcement efforts. By engaging in casual conversations, exchanging greetings, and participating in community events, officers can establish rapport, address concerns, and gather valuable information about neighborhood dynamics, crime trends, and quality of life issues. This proactive approach to community policing helps enhance public safety, deter criminal activity, and strengthen the overall sense of security and well-being within residential communities. Additionally, friendly interactions during foot patrols contribute to positive police-community relations, fostering mutual respect, cooperation, and collaboration in addressing shared goals and concerns.